Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be going through my top transfer targets ahead of Double Game Week 26. If you are enjoying the content here on this channel, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you like any of the features we use in today's video, do check them out for yourselves over at fantasyfootballfix.com. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So guys, let's jump into today's video. We're going to look at 6 players that I would be targeting ahead of Double Game Week 26 and beyond. I'll discuss the different reasons why I have selected them to consider. I'll also discuss them with players at similar price points, and we might bring up some other players as well. Because this is a series where I try and select some players that maybe you wouldn't have considered, or at least some cheaper players. I haven't got the likes of Mohamed Salah in here, but ahead of Double Game Week 26, if you don't own the likes of Salah, Trent and one of Jota and Robertson as well, they are probably players you should be targeting. But outside of that, there are a few other very interesting players as well. So 2 teams that have doubles in 26 are Arsenal and Burnley. Arsenal's double in particular is very, very nice with Brentford at home and Wolves at home. Burnley's isn't as good. They've got Brighton and Tottenham. But the fantastic thing about Burnley, and the reason that we've got 2 Burnley players in today's video, is that they've got a double-double. So they have a double game week in 26. They have a double game week in 27. They've got some decent fixtures after that, and they've got 2 fixtures to be rearranged. So I guess what goes well for Saka, and the reason that you might potentially want to pick Saka, is that he's got Brentford at home and Wolves at home, which is a very nice double. He does blank in game week 27, so you'd either need to be able to bench him, or you'd need to be able to play your free hit in that week. But what I love about Saka, and the reason that I am personally likely to bring in Saka this week in my own team, is that from 28 onwards, there are a fixture swing for quite a few teams. The likes of Manchester United's fixtures become quite difficult. Same with West Ham. And there are fixture swings for other teams. So Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolves are 3 of the teams that have some really good fixtures from 28 onwards. And so if you get Saka and you not only get a double in 26, which is pretty good, you also get a player with nice fixtures from 28 onwards, and it gives you one less position to worry about in your team. So Watford, Leicester, Villa and Palace, the 4 fixtures from 28 onwards, is really, really nice. Cornets aren't that great from 28 onwards, but there are a few good fixtures in there. Obviously, the double-double is really nice. Specifically, Palace and Leicester in Game Week 27 is a nice double. And if you're not free hitting in Game Week 27, that might immediately make you prefer Cornet to Saka. So I guess without even looking at the underlying statistics, it really does depend on your chip strategy here. Chelsea in Game Week 28 isn't ideal because, like I said, so many teams have difficult fixtures in 28 that we might already own. But then Brentford and Southampton in 29 and 30 are nice. And then Man City in 31. So a bit of a mixed bag for Burnley, but the double-double coming up straight away is very, very nice. He's likely to play on the left wing at the moment, Cornet, or left mid in a 4-4-2, but he can potentially play up top alongside Weghorst as well. And like I said, the 2 fixtures to be rearranged are pretty nice for with Villa and Everton. For Arsenal, yes, they have 3 fixtures to be rearranged, but they're pretty tough. Tottenham, Chelsea and Liverpool aren't particularly nice fixtures, and therefore I wouldn't look at Saka just because of the fixtures to be rearranged. But if you were picking him anyway, 3 extra fixtures can't really harm him. Even if he only gets 1 or 2 points in each of them, that's still extra points on the board. So fixtures-wise, it largely depends on your chip strategy. I actually think I prefer Arsenal's because I'm free hitting in 27. And therefore, what I'm looking at is a double in 26 and then really nice fixtures from 28 onwards. If we take a look at the underlying statistics, there is a clear winner. So total minutes played, Cornet's obviously played about less than half the minutes that Saka has. Projected points, Cornet on the Fantasy Football Fix algorithm still hasn't nailed down his place. They haven't adjusted the algorithm there yet. But Saka's in particular, 26.4. Considering the fact that he blanks in 27, that is very, very promising across the next 6 game weeks. Expected FPL points per 90. It's actually fairly close between the 2 of them. But Saka does come out on top with 4.77 versus Cornet's 4.46. Non-penalty expected goals and expected assists, there is a massive difference. 0.44 for Saka is actually very, very nice for 6.4 million. 0.28 for Cornet is not very good at all, regardless of the price. 0.28 is very, very poor. You're looking at an expected goal involvement every 3 games, which even if he's 5.9 million, that's not very good for Cornet. And we've been speaking about it for a while now. Cornet is massively outperforming his underlying statistics, and you would expect 2 things to happen. Either his returns to stop and probably not score or assist much over the coming game weeks, or he's going to need to see a significant improvement in his underlying statistics. What I would say is Burnley do look a lot better. They played quite well against Liverpool, actually, specifically in the first half. So you could see an improvement in his underlying statistics, but as it stands, that really isn't very promising at 0.28. And like I said, Saka's 0.44 is pretty decent for a £6.4 million midfielder. Big chances-wise, fairly similar for the 2 of them. They're both getting roughly a big chance every 4 games. Touches in the box, massively different. And this is what definitely makes me lean towards Saka. 6.23 touches in the box per 90 for Saka is an elite level. That's pushing the likes of Jota, nowhere near the likes of Salah, who gets roughly 10 touches in the box per 90. But 6.23 touches in the box is one of the best in the league. So whilst he isn't getting that many big chances and his underlying statistics aren't incredible for Saka, the fact that he's getting that many touches in the box would suggest that he's at least getting opportunities to score goals or potentially assist teammates as well. Cornet's 3.38 is average at best. So I guess Saka's are reasonable and pretty good and what you would expect for a 6.4 million. When you take into account fixtures as well, fixtures to be rearranged, I would say Saka's a very, very solid choice at 6.4 million, assuming you can either bench him in 27 or you're playing your free hit in Game Week 27. If you need a player in Game Week 27 and you like the double-double for Burnley, it's great that they've got 4 fixtures in 2 game weeks. But when I look at the fact that Burnley aren't the best attacking outfit, when I look at the fact that Cornet's underlying statistics aren't fantastic either, for me, I do think there are better options outside of Maxwell Cornet, and therefore I would probably lean to Saka. I think Rafinha's another good option if he is fit and his injury isn't too bad. He's got the double in 26, and similarly, he does have a fixture in 27, so if you're not free hitting, he's got at least a fixture against Tottenham. And then similarly to Saka, from 28 onwards, he's got some good fixtures as well. So there are some good players in and around that price tag, and like I said, you could even potentially go as cheap as someone like Jacob Ramsey at 4.6 million, 4.7 million. I think personally I would rather a player that has a double in 26, but if you want to go all the way down, you could definitely do worse than Jacob Ramsey. So regarding this comparison, I do prefer Saka. Cornet could be a decent shout, but realistically you're trusting the eye test and a bit of a gut feeling here because the statistics definitely don't back that up as a potential choice for double game week 26. So the next 2 players to discuss are Kieran Tierney and Coady. A very similar sort of discussion with the fixtures with what we've just discussed with Saka and Cornet. Obviously, we have discussed Arsenal's fixtures. The Fantasy Football Fix algorithm actually says that the fixtures are slightly better from an attacking perspective than they are from a defensive perspective. And from game week 28 onwards, I would actually agree. I think Watford, Leicester, Villa and Crystal Palace are slightly better from an attacking perspective. However, what I would say is that game week 26, Brentford and Wolves at home, I'd say that's actually really good for some clean sheet potential for Arsenal. Wolves in particular are fantastic defensively, which is why we've got Coady in here. So I don't necessarily think that's the best fixture from an attacking perspective, but they do struggle to score goals. And Brentford's a similar story. Brentford don't tend to score that many goals either, but they're not too bad defensively. So I would actually say double game week 26, from a defensive perspective, outside of Liverpool for an obvious reason, obviously with having Norwich and Leeds, I'd say Arsenal have the best set of fixtures in 26 from a defensive perspective. So I really like Tierney, potentially as even like a double up with Ramsdale. And then from 28 onwards, you've got the nice fixtures as well. For Coady, obviously, the fixtures in 26 aren't great. They've got Leicester and Arsenal. They're not the worst fixtures at all, but they're not necessarily a double that you'd really want to attack. Game week 27, it's great that Coady does have a fixture against West Ham, and then Palace, Everton, Leeds, and Villa after that as well. So decent fixtures. And again, what I like about Coady is that from 28 onwards, you could just keep him set and forget in your team, or you can have him as a first or second sub. And it is nice because, like I said, you do need to bear in mind that game week 28 fixture swing. And as a result, I think Cody's nice to get in now for a double, potentially have him in 27 if you're not free hitting, and then have decent fixtures from 28 onwards. And he's only 4.7 million. The reason for having Coady ahead of Ait-Nouri and also Kilman on this list, firstly with Ait-Nouri, I do think he's still first choice left wing back. The issue that you've got with Ait-Nouri is that Johnny is coming back slowly and Marcel is back as well. And we saw recently that Marcel can step in for Ait-Nouri. So once all 3 are fit and firing, I do think we could start to see quite a bit of competition. You could also go potentially for Semedo. I just don't think the underlying statistics warrant it that much over Coady, because I think Semedo, again, is first choice right wing back, but he would suffer slightly more rotation than Coady would. And then with Kilman, I really like Kilman. 4.5 million, cheaper than Coady, has been very, very nailed all season. But when Bolly's back, I do think there's a slight potential that he could drop out, and it could be a back 3 of Bolly, Coady, and Saiss. And speaking of Saiss, I just think he's a little bit too expensive for me. So that's the reason I've chose Coady out of all of those. He's just very, very nailed. He's decent for bonus points, and he should tick along nicely with the Wolves defence. Speaking of the defensive data, just before we go into the individual underlying data of the 2 defenders from an attacking perspective, defensively, the reason that I've got Wolves defender in here is they are so good as a defensive outfit. They're currently the 5th best defence in the Premier League this season for an expected goals conceded. And Arsenal, again, are decent, but they're currently sat in 10th. So Arsenal are a mid-table defence. They have made some improvements recently, whereas Wolves are basically like a Europa League, pushing Champions League side from a defensive perspective. So you do need to take that into account, that whilst there are some good choices from Arsenal, if you're purely going from a defensive perspective, Wolves look amazing. And they kept a clean sheet in game week 25 against Tottenham, which is just to show that Leicester, Arsenal and West Ham, yes, they're not amazing fixtures, but I would not put it past them keeping 2 clean sheets in those 3 games there. They're a very, very, very good defensive outfit, and it's definitely worth looking at that data. If we're looking at underlying data from an attacking perspective for Tierney and Coady, Tierney obviously comes out slightly on top, as you would expect. So projected points-wise, projected to get slightly more points over the next 6 game weeks. Expected FPL points, there is quite a stark difference here. So 5.74 for Tierney versus 4.16 for Coady. Where there isn't that much of a difference is actually their expected goal involvement. So their non-penalty expected goal involvement for Tierney is only 0.09, which isn't really that impressive. And it's 0.05 for Coady. Now, 0.05 for Coady, that's all expected goals. Actually, only 0.04 of Tierney's is expected goals. So to put that in perspective, essentially what I'm saying is Cody's actually a slightly better, ever so slightly better goal threat, or they're very comparable. What Tierney has is he just has a little bit better expected assist. But those underlying statistics definitely weren't as good as I was expecting for Tierney when I did this research. And it does put me off slightly, or make me think that he might not be worth necessarily the £5.1 million price tag. Big chances. Tierney has had 0 big chances this season. Cody's had 0.14 per 90. So again, Cody's actually a slightly better goal threat than Kieran Tierney. And then touches in the box. Again, not that impressive for Coady at 1.96. And as you would expect for a centre-back such as Coady, 0.59 for him. So Tierney's definitely coming out on top, and they're not terrible underlying statistics for Tierney, but I'm not sure it is worth the £5.1 million price tag. I still think that he is a good option, and if you've got lots of money in the bank, which you might because the premiums just haven't been that amazing recently, you might just want to go for Tierney anyway. What I would say is Coady is very, very good value at 4.7 million, and also you might want to consider someone like a Ben White as a cheaper option into that Arsenal defence. Because really what you're going for with this Arsenal is they've got good fixtures and decent defensive data, because the underlying statistics don't suggest that Tierney's that much of an attacking threat. So I like Tierney a lot. I'm still considering bringing in Tierney. I may well do it in my own team. But I guess what I'm suggesting is Cody's a very good alternative at 4.7. And if you want to go even cheaper and still have a route into the Arsenal defence, I really do like Ben White, because the underlying statistics, like I said, for Tierney aren't that amazing. Let me know down below if you're considering Tierney or Coady, if you're considering Ben White, or if you're looking to go elsewhere. It does, again, depend on your chip strategy and also depend on what you're doing with blank game week 27. So definitely consider that before making any moves. So this final comparison might be rendered slightly useless, but do still stick around regardless of the news that we get. And that is between Broja and Weghorst. Now, the reason I say that is in the Liverpool game in game week 25, Weghorst did come off injured. He went up for a header, landed awkwardly. It might have been his hip, it might have been his hamstring. At the time of recording this, I don't know exactly what the injury is, and I don't know how serious it is. But I did still want to have a discussion around Weghorst, discussion around the fixtures in comparison to someone like Broja. And even if Weghorst is injured, we're still going to have a discussion around Broja here as well. So I think it's definitely worthwhile and definitely worth sticking around for. Starting with Broja, because we haven't discussed the Southampton fixtures yet. I really, really like him for numerous reasons. The first thing to note is that the fixture against Everton in 26, whilst yes, it isn't a double, and there are lots of players with doubles that you might want to prioritise with your transfers, Everton still don't look fantastic defensively. They did look a lot better against Leeds, but I do think that Leeds flattered them slightly, and Frank Lampard does love to manage a team against Leeds. So I do think that's a decent fixture in 26. The thing I love about him is, again, if you're not free hitting in game week 27, Norwich at home is about as good as you can get for a fixture in a blank game week, and you could definitely start him in that. And then from 28 onwards, Villa, Watford, Burnley, Leeds the next 4. So with Broja, what you get is you get a decent fixture in the double in the immediate upcoming game week. You get a great fixture in blank game week 27, and then you've got great fixtures from 28 onwards. So you've got the best of everything. And they do have a fixture against Newcastle to be rescheduled at some point. So the fixture that they do have is also a great one as well. So I like Broja's fixtures a lot. I like Southampton's fixtures a lot. And I'm definitely considering the likes of Livramento alongside Broja as potential transfers in. Obviously, if you're not free hitting in 27, or sorry, if you are free hitting in 27, I should say, it maybe makes him a slightly less appealing option, but I still think, again, I'm free hitting in 27, and I think Everton, Villa, Watford, Burnley, Leeds, even outside of that 27 fixture, they're really, really nice. We've discussed Burnley's fixtures, of course, already, but the great thing about Weghorst is that he is a very, very good captaincy option in 27 if he's fit. So even if he's not fit in 26 and you're considering him for 27, the great thing about Weghorst is that he is obviously a great captaincy option with two fixtures in game week 27. I mean, I guess the thing I didn't even mention is £1.2 million difference is definitely worth considering as well. So whilst he does have the double-double coming up, if you're going to save 1.2 million, you've got good fixtures and decent underlying data for Broja, he could be a great option. If we move on to the underlying statistics, before we actually jump into them, it is definitely worth noting, and I wouldn't usually do this, but I wanted to give you something to look at on screen. Weghorst has only played 180 minutes. So he's only played 2 full 90, or less than 2 full 90 minutes, I should say. He's played 180 minutes, and I don't think that's the best sample size to go from, and you can't realistically draw that many trends from 180 minutes of football. But That being said, let's take a look at them. So projected points over the next 6 game weeks. Broja just about comes out on top at 23.8, despite the fact that Burnley do have an extra 2 fixtures on top of Southampton. So that's definitely an interesting one. Expected FPL points per 90, again, only 180 minutes for Weghorst anyways. 5.12 for Weghorst, 4.83 for Broja. So both of them sitting around 5, which is very, very good for a striker. Where there is a stark contrast, but we're going to discuss the nuances of this, is expected goal involvement. So starting with Weghorst, he has had a brilliant start to his career in the Premier League. 0.71 expected goal involvement is highly impressive. But we see this with almost every striker, every midfielder that come to the Premier League. They perform very, very well over a couple of game weeks, and then their statistics slowly start to reduce. Even the likes of someone like Conor Gallagher. It was around 1 expected goal involvement for the first sort of 5 or 6 game weeks this season. He's still performing very well, but that's now dropped well and truly below 0.5. So I would expect that to really regress quite soon, down to about a 0.4, 0.5, based on what he's done in past seasons in other leagues. But still, he has had a very impressive start, and it's a promising sign that in a Burnley side who had 2 very, very difficult fixtures against Manchester United and Liverpool, he's still getting a good amount of opportunities. Broja's is an interesting one because it's 0.36, and remember I said that Cornet 0.28 wasn't fantastic, and I don't think that 0.36 is fantastic, but when you consider he's 5.3 million, when you consider how good the fixtures are, and when you also consider the fact that there aren't many good strikers at any price point, I do think you could do a lot worse than a 0.36 expected goal involvement from a £5.3 million striker. So I'm taking into account price, I'm taking into account fixtures when I'm judging that. But in and of itself, 0.36 isn't fantastic for an expected goal involvement. Big chances wise, despite the fact that Weghorst has had a fantastic start to his Premier League campaign, 0.55 for Broja actually puts him on top of Weghorst. And that is very, very good. Across over 1,000 minutes to be getting a big chance every 2 games is highly impressive for Broja. And that definitely does make him a slightly more appealing option. Again, 0.5 for Weghorst is highly impressive as well. And again, even the fact that Weghorst has been very involved in the action, Broja does have slightly more touches in the box per 90. 5.1 for Broja, 5 for Weghorst. So I guess what I'm saying here, is I think they're both great options. If Weghorst can continue even close to what he's done in the first 2 games, and assuming he is fit for either Game Week 26 or Game Week 27, we'll have to see how serious that injury was. I think the Weghorst is probably the slightly better option in the short term, at least for the double-double. But if you're free hitting in 27, you can get Weghorst in Game Week 27. You can get Broja in 27. So what you would then need to consider is fixture 26 and then fixtures 28 onwards. And when you do that, if you remove that Game Week 27, for me, I might actually just lean towards Broja. For the money saved, the fixtures from 28 onwards, and the fact that his underlying statistics are fairly decent, and he's passing the eye test as well. So it's a tricky one. It does depend, again, on your chip strategy. It depends on your price that you've got, and it depends on Weghorst's fitness. We'll see all of those in the coming days. But assuming that Weghorst is fit and available, let me know down below which of these 2 you prefer. If I were on a wildcard, just as an example, I think on a wildcard, my front 3 would probably be Harry Kane, Weghorst, and Broja. Maybe not even Harry Kane in there, but definitely I would have Weghorst and Broja. I think they're 2 fantastic options over the coming game weeks, and I don't think you can go particularly wrong with either, assuming that Weghorst is fit and firing. So guys, there you have it. Those are 6 potential transfer targets ahead of Double Game Week 26. There are lots of other really good options in there as well. I'll give you another one that I quite like. I think Lacazette could be a decent option up top for Game Week 26 and beyond. There are quite a few, so let me know down below, as always, who do you think I've missed off? Who are your top transfer targets outside of Salah ahead of Double Game Week 26? I'm always interested to find out. If you have enjoyed any of the features that we've used in today's video, such as the fixture analyzer, player touch maps, whatever it may be, you can access all of those features over at fantasyfootballfix.com. So do head over to the website and check out those features. And if you are enjoying the content here on this channel, please do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We do appreciate the support very much. Until next time, guys, I hope you get a massive green arrow in Double Game Week 26. Cheers. Bye-bye.